What's up, MMA community? It's your girl, Goddess Mia Sophia, back with another MMA drama video for you. So today I want to talk about the UFC Apex. So, as you know, the UFC Apex is located in Las Vegas, Nevada, where they're able to put on a lot of the main cards coming up. Actually, this whole year is full of UFC Apex fights. Now, as a new fan to the UFC, I have watched a ton of the Apex fights since I joined during COVID when I was trying to get into a new sport. I have been doing a little research on what the UFC Apex even is, and I didn't realize that it was first set up because the UFC wasn't able to sell out these huge venues that they were previously selling out. So apparently back when the UFC first started off, they were able to sell a huge amount of venues, go around the world. As this comment brings up a good point, an entire generation of fans don't know a time when they went around the world to random towns. So that's me. I didn't realize that the UFC used to go around to a bunch of different towns, cities, and that makes sense when they go to, say, Canada and they sell out that arena there and the fans are hyped. Or they go to Mexico like we saw last year and how crazy the stadium feels. The energy inside is explosive. But obviously, the quality at these UFC Apex is so much lower. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was snoozing throughout the fight card on Saturday. I ended up putting stuff away in my room, kind of cleaning up things, but I wanted to know more about the UFC Apex. So as I mentioned, it was started because of COVID, and the UFC couldn't sell out the huge arenas that they were used to selling out, so they ended up starting this Apex in Las Vegas. I didn't realize this. It actually can only seat 70 people, so there's only 70 tickets being sold at a time to this place. So no wonder the crowds are very stale, very boring. Also, according to this comment, these tickets used to be $3,000. And then they were lowered, it looks like, to about $1,500 to the Rose Namajunas fight that's coming up. That one looks to be about $2,300. Either way, very, very expensive. I understand. I mean, there's a lot of perks. So according to this Reddit user who actually went a year ago with their son, they said that they had a wonderful experience. They enjoyed it. It was about $1,400 and some change for all of their drinks, the tickets included. Still very expensive. I mean, that is my rent. So it's very expensive. Anyways, they had a great time. Apparently you get to take pictures in the octagon afterwards. You get to kind of meet the fighters. It's like obviously a more intimate experience and really cool for the fans to have access to this. But I think I agree with the MMA guru whose video I watched just before making this video, where they were saying like it'd be great if maybe like once a month we were in the Apex, you know, but it seems like there's so many. I think he was saying there's only 4 UFC matches, fight nights this like entire year until July, where it's actually in front of a crowd. All of those before that is just in the Apex, which is insane. Okay, like obviously the Apex quality is getting decreased. I feel like Dana is taking this capitalistic approach where, you know, they want to be the next NFL, they want to be the next huge sport. And so I get it, you need to put on events like every weekend, and I think it was working for a bit, but now a lot of the fighters that we know, we love, they're retiring, you know, and we haven't had the time to build up these new fighters coming in to the UFC. So now it's just a bunch of random people getting matched up against each other, trying to duke it out. The quality is obviously decreasing, as everyone can attest to. Let me bring up this comment. It says, is anyone else bothered by the UFC Apex? As an MMA fan since 2005, I've recently begun to miss out on more events. Not as excitement for the product as I used to be. And remember, this was a year ago. So Technically, the sport has never been better, but it has gotten a lot harder ever since the ESPN deal came along and the UFC expanded its roster. I've been having trouble remembering same. I've been having trouble remembering the names of the fighters, their styles, and it's getting harder and harder for me to get excited about undercards. I agree. It's hard to research all these people. Like, they're practically nobodies, like, coming off from the street. I don't know if I saw a video the other day on YouTube where they said that someone was able to, like, fake all of their credentials and get into the UFC. Like, that's insane. I feel like that really speaks to the quality of fighters that they're trying to bring into the UFC. Like, they are searching for anyone to get into the UFC. I mean, obviously, yes, you do have to be a very high quality fighter. You have to have a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, but either way, let me continue. Yesterday, something finally clicked for me. Why has the UFC been running so many events at the Apex and not gone back to touring around the country, packing venues? A lot of the atmosphere is missing. It's really depressing. I agree with this too. It's really depressing to see a great fight like a McCauley versus Johnson being cheered by a small crowd instead of thousands. Frustrating that after years of building the product to get an ESPN deal, the UFC has been watering down its product more and more. What do you guys think about the Apex? I agree with this. I think that the product has been watered down so much. I mean, I know personally I used to be super excited to watch all the fights. I would tune in every Saturday last year. This year I've kind of been, a little more hit or miss. I don't know if I want to tune in. This weekend I was snoozing. Okay, another comment under this that I think is important to point out is this comment. It says, UFC has been bad ever since selling out to ESPN and Disney. Agree with the previous one. Yes, some decent cards, but most are bad and severely understacked. Fighting schedules have been bad too. And then it says, it feels like it got to the point where Apex cards feel more like betting opportunities than actual events. The lack of crowd and the quality of fighters does make a difference. And then the last comment I want to read to you is, Apex is soulless. It resembles what the UFC has become. Soulless machine that's only interested in profit. They lowball fighters with big names and keep signing bums. Oh my God, I agree with this. I can't believe that they have lost. I mean, it makes sense that a lot of their fighters have retired. They're getting older. They want better deals. It's crazy the little amount that the UFC pays them, considering that all the fighters have to deal with any medical bills that happen to them, any sort of lasting injuries. They have to pay their trainers. So the year leading up to the fight, they have to pay all of that for their trainers, if they have a dietitian, if they have a nutritionist, for their gym membership. Obviously, they have to pay all of their living expenses. A lot of these fighters, they're not able to work 40 hours a week at a job, also train 8 hours a day, and also become the best. So I feel like, you can tell a lot of these guys are pretty much homeless, doing the only thing that they can, which is fighting. And then, they hopefully can get the dream of going to the UFC, but the UFC doesn't even pay the money necessary to, keep them alive. Yes, as Sean Strickland said recently, he is being paid better than ever. He's able to afford a Tesla. He's able to, upgrade his lifestyle a little bit, but I don't think that discounts the fact that he is at the top of the UFC prospects. He is, he had just won the belt. Obviously, he just lost it, but still, he won the belt. That is the top of the division, and he still talks about how he's not paid enough. He still talks about how he's not compensated correctly. Also, another thing that I want to point out that I don't think a lot of people, I didn't realize, I don't know if anyone else has pointed this out besides this person, but they say, I think it's weird there's no regulation ring size. The 5-foot difference in ring size heavily factors grapplers, which is why you see a lot of people getting pushed up against the fence there. It made sense for the contender fights because you want to give them less room to move away and incentivize action. But the fact that if you fight in Vegas, you're fighting in a 25-foot ring, but if you fight anywhere else, you're fighting in a 30-foot ring, absolutely needs to be looked into and regulated. Yeah, the next comment under that says, that's strange too, because you never see fighters complain about that. Even in circumstances where you know, based on their style, it's going to hurt them. I wonder how many guys even care about that type of stuff. It's one of those weird outside influences that doesn't get talked about much because it's never obvious when it affects the outcome of a fight, unlike bad reffing. So I think that's interesting too, that not only are we getting a lower quality product at the Apex. I mean, first off, there's only 70 people that can be there. That's hardly a crowd. Most people don't even show up until the main card. So, even 10 people, 1 out of 7 people show up. That's not anyone, there to cheer on the fighters. That's not barely anyone. And the fact that someone like Zuckerberg can just rent out the entire place, or was it Zuckerberg? Mark, the Facebook guy. He was able to rent out the entire Apex in order to watch that one fight. Like, that obviously is going to decrease the quality that you're getting. People really get excited and hyped up by the fans. You want to hear a crowd. You want to feel like you're going into battle and fight for your bag, for your family, for yourself, for your reputation. You want all of that to be appreciated and to feel like you're appreciated. And then instead you go into the Apex, which kind of just feels like you're in practice. I think it's kind of crazy. I think that the UFC needs to change something, and I know myself, and I know a lot of other fans of the UFC have definitely started to tune out. So thanks again. If you made it to the end, make sure to like this video, subscribe, turn on bell notifications, and comment below, what do you think about the UFC Apex? Do you think that the fights there are good? Do you miss touring around the world? How long have you been a UFC fight